What it is, YouTube? It's your boy DC coming back with another bullseye of a video here today. I wanted to have a conversation with you guys. Who do you think is winning the DAW war? Down below, let me know what DAW you guys have been using lately. What DAW did you start with, and are you still keeping the same one that you've been using from day one? The day one DAW, are you still using that same one? Because for me, I see all of these different DAWs, right? And it reminds me of like the Cold War, you feel me? Or like the Soviet Union against the United States, where it's like an arms race. They're all trying to get better than each other because they're all competing for, us people, musicians to use their stuff. And I know it's a lot of new people who are starting out recording and stuff like that. And a lot of times people will go to FL Studio, right? I like FL Studio as a DAW a lot because the price is like, it's not crazy expensive. You feel me? And you can do a lot with it for what it gives you. You feel me? You can make beats in it. Maybe you just starting to make music and you don't really even know if you're a rapper or a beat maker, right? At least it gives you the option to both make beats and to rap and do a little bit of mixing. I feel like with FL Studio, it's always gonna be a great DAW to me because it was like the first DAW that I used. The thing about it is back in the day, it wasn't really easy to record on FL Studio now like how it is. And that's why I think FL Studio is kind of like leading the pack right now because they've really made some improvements. They actually listen to their community, unlike some DAWs, Pro Fools, right? And FL Studio has been upgrading a lot of stuff, bro. Like the stem separator in FL Studio is amazing if you're doing like sampling and stuff like that, right? And I feel like that right there kind of puts it in front of the DAW war, the DAW race. You feel me? Also, another thing with FL Studio too is the stock plugins always gonna be golden. That FL Studio clipper always gonna be golden for the vocals, for the master fader, get that yeet rage sound. It's always gonna be golden for the rap kicks and the snares and stuff like that to get that big perceived loudness. The EQ is great, the reverb, all that stuff like that. So for me, when it comes to like DAW wars, I always think about like stock plugins, right? Because when you first starting out and you just bought the DAW, you just starting out in your musical career, you don't know what EQ is, you don't know what compression is, you don't know what none of this shit is. So you need easy tools, which is like the stock plugin. That's like when you're a little baby and you're getting potty trained, you feel me? And you starting to first learn how to like walk and potty train. Like those first tools, you first learn how to use a spoon, a knife, a fork. All that shit is important so you could grow into become an adult and actually learn how to use this shit to really eat and do all the stuff you gotta do. You feel me? So I think that the stock plugins, FL Studio probably got the best stock plugins, low key, in my opinion, when it comes to how simple they are. I think that Logic Pro has great stock plugins, Studio One, Pro Tools, and for the most part, stock plugins supposed to be good in the DAW wars. It's like MW3, that starter pistol, it gotta be good. You feel me? It gotta be good because those plugins were made around the infrastructure of the DAW. So I think FL Studio is winning kind of right now. For me, I kind of don't really use FL Studio like that though, because I'm a mixing engineer. You feel me? I'm a rapper and a mixing engineer. And even though I can record with FL Studio, like 80% of the time, the stuff I work on is files that were emailed to me from other people. So I usually have to like import it. And in my experience, one of the gripping flaws with FL Studio is like the ability to organize and the ability to like only work exclusively within the editing stuff, right? When it comes to like editing audio and stuff like that, I feel like it's kind of clunky. You feel me? It's kind of clunky. It doesn't have like clip effects the same way like Pro Tools has, where you can just EQ some shit on the spot and just bounce it down and keep going. You feel me? And work really quickly. So I feel like that's the thing that FL Studio can do to get better on the battlefield. So what DAW do you guys use? Are you guys using FL Studio? Like, do you think FL Studio is perfect? What criticisms do y'all have with FL Studio? Let me know down below for the FL Studio users. Now, the reason why I mostly use Pro Tools is because, like how I said, like I learned how to mix, and I'm mostly a mixing engineer, and that's why Pro Tools is kind of like my sniper, my FaZe Clan sniper of choice. You feel me? Because it's just the best tool for me because I'm a mixing engineer. So like it's so easy for me to just import files and edit audio really quickly. And a criticism I have for FL Studio 2 is why I use Pro Tools over FL Studio is the fact that FL Studio doesn't have the ARM, the real-time stuff. That's like your Melodyne, you feel me? That's like your vocal line. I find myself using those things a lot because I don't actually have the ability to, change what the artist did because I'm not in the room with them. You feel me? I get the file sent to me. I'm a mixing engineer. You feel me? So if I was in the actual room with somebody recording them, which is what FL Studio is good for too, which is all of these DAWs, Pro Tools, Logic, they're all good for that. If I was in a room with somebody and they had a bad note, I don't gotta do melodyne. I'm gonna say, yo, motherfucker, redo that note. You feel me? Or if they stack some vocals and the stacks sound off, I'm gonna say, yo, go back and redo it so it could be tighter. You know what I mean? So the fact that I get the files, right, is why I feel like Pro Tools is the best weapon of choice for me. Now there is a lot of criticisms with Pro Tools because Pro Tools is old. The shit looked like Windows XP, Windows 98. The shit looked like back in the day, way back in the day. You feel me? When computers used to look like Matrix and shit like that. So I think that's a criticism. I think that Pro Tools is trash when it comes to adding new features. They don't listen to the community, so they're definitely behind in the dog war. And the only thing that Pro Tools got is the fact that they've been around for the longest and that every studio kind of has it already. And it's like, well, we're already like we're driving this Hellcat, so we can't change the engine while we whipping the Hellcat. And that's why I keep using Pro Tools. I know a lot of people say, Nick, why don't you just move to another DAW? Are you still using Pro Tools? It's a dinosaur. But the thing about it, for me, it's a dinosaur that I know. It's a dinosaur that I'm familiar with. So if you guys, down below hate Pro Tools, let me know how you feel about Pro Tools in the comments. Do you feel like when you started making music, if somebody started making music today and they started using Pro Tools, that shit will be so complicated because of like the way Pro Tools is with like the routing and the inserts and you don't know what the fuck an insert is, but at least on FL Studio, you go to the mixer rack and on the right, you just click it in and it's way easier. But Pro Tools got busing and routing, and FL Studio is easier because you could just parallel mix a reverb real fast. You feel me? So that's like I think a bad thing when it comes to Pro Tools is the fact that Pro Tools is not friendly to people who are starting out mixing and recording. Another thing about Pro Tools, man, you can't make no goddamn beat in no damn Pro Tools. Unless you got like an MPC and you got like everything routed in and you got synths and stuff routed into a crazy, and you just click record and you just dumping in shit. Like I know Metro Boomin does that. You feel me? That's how he said he been making beats. He got his producer. He was working in FL Studio. He wanted to push himself, so then he started working on MPCs and like he's just fucking around and the record buttons is on the whole time in Pro Tools and it's just dumping in there and he playing around with it and shit. So that's a way to make um you know um that's a way to make beats in Pro Tools, but Pro Tools is horrible for making beats, bro. It's great for mixing and mastering. It's great for recording too. I think that's the benefit of Pro Tools is the editing and stuff like that. But I think that when it comes to a DAW like Logic Pro, how many of you guys are using Logic Pro? What do you feel about Logic Pro? For me, like I don't like how Logic Pro doesn't let me change it into like a dark mode. Like, come on. It's 2025. Like, can we get a dark mode? Like aesthetically, like that's why I can't get into Logic Pro. Some people will be like, "Well, Pro Tools is a ugly ass bid too." You feel me? FL Studio is the best looking one. You know what I mean? Like it's a beauty pageant or some shit. But yeah, that's what criticism I have with Logic Pro. Logic Pro got some great stock plugins. Logic Pro is incredible for the value that you pay for it. The fact that it lets you make beats, it lets you record vocals, it lets you mix and master. I think Logic Pro is the best value. I use Logic Pro. I use all these DAWs, right? Because when people send me like sessions and stuff like that, I just use the session that they already were starting off from, you know, because different DAWs, they don't really all sound different, but there's some nuanced differences. There's a little bit of garlic in this bread. There's a little bit of Parmesan in this Panera bread. There's a little bit of oregano and bay leaves in this the way this bread was cooked. They still all bread. It still got all the same taste of bread, but there's some nuanced differences. So yeah, I think that Logic Pro is really good DAW. You feel me? When it comes to editing, it has some pretty good editing. I kind of feel like Logic Pro kind of gets cumbersome. Sometimes I just want to just be able to really like hide that mixer. That mixer, I want to be able to do some things with it, like how in Pro Tools I can move my master fader to the top. I can move like my buses down here or over here. Like I feel like Logic Pro kind of forces you to work within its format. Like you create a new bus, it's gonna be on this side. You can't just take that bus and put it at the top of the fucking all the tracks and shit like that, if you know what I mean. And also, even when it comes to the buses, you can't actually have it on the edit window, which is another like killer for me too. You feel me? Um, but I think Logic Pro is great when it comes to live recording. What do you guys also think about Studio One and Cubase? I've mixed a couple songs on Studio One. I like Studio One when it comes to like analog hardware. When I had analog hardware, it had that screenshot thing where you can just like take a screenshot and drag it and drop it into the recalls were pretty fun in Studio One when I had it. And I know Studio One is great when it comes to how quick it takes for the DAW to load up. That's another important thing too. Like sometimes Pro Tools takes a while to load up. FL Studio is great in terms of load up time. As an artist, you want to be able to work fast. You got an idea, man. I'm trying to lay this shit down right now. That's an important thing. How quick does the DAW load up? Because that little time in between that slow ass Pro Tools is taking to load up, you could lose inspiration. So that's the criticism that I have with Pro Tools. But if I can big up FL Studio and Logic Pro in a Studio One, I think that they have a great advantage to that too. So who you guys think is winning the DAW wars? Down below, drop a comment. What you think is the best DAW? What DAW did you start out with? What DAW are you using now? And do you think that maybe you want to try out a different DAW? Which DAW would that be? And why would the reason that would to be? If because I'm thinking about switching DAWs and I want to see if y'all can try to, convert me to a different DAW religion or some shit like that. You feel me? So I just want to say thanks a lot for being a great part of my YouTube family. If you like different videos like this, not the typical template stuff, where we just having conversations and we just, knowing like, well, really what is the best DAW, different topics, drop it in the comments down below. Let me guys know about your opinion. I really appreciate your opinion. I want to have a conversation with y'all. So I just want to say thanks a lot. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. You want to support the channel, check the links down below. Appreciate y'all. Peace.